Well, it's time now for Focus 50 Plus. Dr. George Schofield is here, and today's topic, this is fun and something I think we could spend a whole show on, sort of the definition of what old is.
Well, so I'd like to tell you a story. On Friday, I was at lunch in the morning, at lunch at noon, and there was a fellow who was about 57 who just sat there and had no interests. He seemed so old to me. And later in the day, I gave a speech for the wonderful Nancy Hobson from the Senior Friendship Center. And at the end of the speech, a woman came up to me and said, very bubbly woman, came up and said, you know, I retired 2 years ago at 90. I'm not altogether sure that I'm glad that I retired. So she seemed very young at 92, and he seemed very old at 57. What's going on?
That begs the question, when does old start?
When does old start? Well, so I have a theory. And my theory is that old starts about the time we stop being both interested and interesting as people. And it's very difficult to begin to develop the habits that drive that if you're already in your late 80s. If you're in your 50s or in your 60s and you really want a high quality later life, that's the time to begin.
So you talked about your stories. That's sort of the examples then, right?
That would be one example. Another example would be someone who's really only has one interest and sticks to that and doesn't actually listen to what other people are interested in and ask questions about it. Because one of the really important skills that we have to develop is the ability to listen to what other people are interested in and then ask questions about it that draw them out. We want them to do that for us also.
All right, so that's sort of then the defense against this.
That is. It needs to become a habit, though, because as we get older, frequently we can become more self-focused and focused on our own interest, whether it's golf or water skiing or bicycling or reading. And there's nothing wrong with that. We certainly need our interests, but we're going to need other people's interests to help us stay interesting and interested.
All right, so then some concrete steps we can all take to sort of prevent this.
Great. Step one, listen to the people that are really interesting and listen for the questions that they ask and the stories that they tell. Step two, begin to keep kind of a journal of what you do about how you tell your stories and what questions you ask. Step three, then assess whether or not you're actually practicing the great stay young skills, whether you're 57 or 92.
Oh, something that's great. This is something we could really delve into. It could take a whole week-long series.
And we'll do a little more on this over time.
All right, as always interesting.
Thanks
so much, George.
Pleasure to see you.
And
see you next week.
Yeah, and we'll be back in a moment with your viral videos of the day.